Hi, how you doing? So the plan for this video is to finish setting everything up for the CNC. So I'm going to put on the 7-inch screen which came and the Suckit Dust Boot Pro. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to install the screen, install this boom arm, and then I'm going to install the Suckit Dust Boot Pro. And then after I install that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a lid on the CNC that will sit on top of this 5-gallon bucket for this Cyclone to sit on top. So that's the plan. Mount the screen, set up the Suckit Dust Boot Pro, set up the boom arm, cut the top of this bucket, and then install the dust collection. And then I'll have everything set up for the CNC except for the enclosure. So that's the plan. Let's get right into it. Alright, so it looks like there is 4 mounts for this display arm. So I'm just going to unpackage these. Then I'm going to take this with these hand bolts, put this on top like this, and install these 4 bolts, like so. Time to just tighten these bolts up. So this is an 8mm wrench on the back, and then an Allen wrench on the front. I'm just going to pop this screen out. Got all the power cords, and then this screen should just magnetize right on like this. Yeah. Alright, so I just got the screen installed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble the Suckit Dust Boot Pro. So I'm going to use the smallest router plate hole, which is this one, and then I'm going to use the 1-inch dust shoe. So this looks like it just should slip in real easy. It just pushes in there. So we'll do that. So after you got this brush installed, you're going to want to make sure that all of it's pushed in there, because if you see this little rubber part up here, see how it sticks out a little? So you just want to make sure all of that's in and pushed up there. So now after you do that, you're going to want to get your router plate, pop it in there like this, make sure all those holes line up, and then grab the small black screws like this, and then just pop them in there. Those thread in really easily. And you get the smaller Allen key that was provided. I just like to get it real loose right at first, and then I'll get the other 2. So after I got the router plate installed and that, I'm going to install these little side pieces. So these just thread in real easily. And this stuff you don't want to get too tight because it's plastic and it might crack. So that tight, and you also want to be able to move these around once they are installed. So after I got all that installed, I'm going to take this little piece and take this 1-inch brush, just slide that in there. So after you get that piece in, this should just snap in there real easy. And then there you go, that's everything to do with this assembly. Alright, so now I'm going to attach these 2 arms. So this one faces in like this. I'm just going to pop this on the back. Like so. Slide it up. Hold it there. And just get that screwed in a little loose, and then that'll slide up and down real easily. So we'll just put that there for now. And then we'll go ahead, put the other side on. Alright, so I just throw on the dust shoe and then I get into cutting. So the first thing I'm going to cut on it is the top for the 5-gallon bucket. Alright, so in this clip I'm just installing the board for the top of the 5-gallon bucket. So once I mount this, I'm going to go to the computer, program up the top for the lid, and then I'm going to cut it out. And then also we're going to be able to test and see how this works without the Cyclone. So I'll just hook it up to the ShopVac and see how it works then. Alright, so now that I got the board I want to cut installed, I'm just going to lower this. Should just sit on there. Tighten that up. So that's that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this boom arm on the back. So I got this Allen key for this bolt, and I'm going to mount it on this back corner. So this just goes on real easily. Don't want to make that too tight because it's plastic. Just a real loose hand tight. So get that on there tight, but not too tight. Then these just slip in real easy. And the idea behind them is that they're really loose so it can swing very easily. So there's the boom arm. That was super fast. Alright, so I got these HEPA bags. I'm going to install these into the ShopVac, and then I'm going to hook this up to the CNC before I cut the file for the Cyclone, and then I'll be able to add the Cyclone. So these should just slip in real easy. So take the top of this vacuum off, and then this little piece just comes off, and then this cardboard piece just slides in there like that, and that's all you got to do to install these these HEPA filters. Alright, so now I'm over in Carbide Create, and I'm going to set up this job. So it's the piece of MDF I'm cutting is 15 by 36. It won't be that big. It was 0.6 thick. We're going to zero to the top, lower left, all that looks good. Alright, so we got this first circle, then we're going to have another one. We're going to draw another circle, and this one is going to be a radius of 6.5. And then we're going to select all this, and then we will just move this like right there. That looks good. Alright, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pocket this area out with a 1/4 inch end mill. All of that looks good, and we're going to want to do that half the stock depth, which is 0.3. Right, okay with that. And then after that's pocketed out, we're going to want to click the outside circle and do a contour with the outside right. Going to use the stock bottom, and then we'll throw a couple tabs on there, and then hit OK. Okay, we'll simulate that, and we're cutting this on MDF. So this should be it, and now we got to install the holes for the Suckit for the Cyclone. Alright, so I got this all programmed up in Carbide Create, so I'm going to bring it over to the CNC, and we're going to see what happens, because this inside one I'm not able to add any tabs, so I'm kind of worried that this is going to fly everywhere, but it's going to be a lot faster than pocketing the whole thing out. So I could even just drill a hole in the center and just screw it down, but that's kind of risky, so we're going to cut it and hope it doesn't go flying, but if it does, then we'll just pause the machine. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I got everything loaded up. So if I did everything right, this should run fine. So let's fire it up and see how it goes. Alright, so I'm very happy with how that cut. So we're going to take this off and see how it fits on the ShopVac. Or on the bucket, I mean. So I'll just have to cut those with a razor knife. So cut these tabs off. And then if I did everything right, this should perfectly fit on there. So let's see. Oh, that's a nice fit too. So that sits on there like that. Then this sits on there like that. And then I'm just going to drill these holes by hand. And then we'll have the Cyclone and the ShopVac. So I'm really happy with how well that dust collection works. So, woo! Alright, so now what I'm going to do to drill these holes are, I'm just going to lay the gasket over the hole that I cut on the CNC. Like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark them out with a pen in the center and then just drill them. So that's the plan. Alright, so now I'm going to attach the Cyclone to the lid. So the bolts that came with it were a little too short. So I talked to my dad and he had some small carriage bolts that will work perfect. So now I'm just going to install this and then I'll hook everything up to the CNC. So now I got everything hooked up. I got the ShopVac hooked up to the Cyclone and the Cyclone hooked up to the boom arm, which goes to the Suckit Dust Boot Pro. So I jogged the machine around and I know everything works well. So that's the dust collection all set up. Alright, so it was a good couple of days. I was able to set up the boom arm, the dust collection, and the screen. So I'm really happy with how all of this turned out. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Please like and subscribe. And thank you once again for watching the video.